You're all welcome to a strategic roadmap to improve the participation of more credible women and youths in politics and leadership positions in Nigeria. For so many years, the Nigerian women and youths have been yearning for more inclusion and participation in politics and leadership positions. We have utilized several strategies which are helping to bring attention to our quest. Women Alliance Group, in conjunction with Life Foundation, is collaborating with other female NGOs and media companies like the Association of Nigerian Women Business Network, ANWBN, Nigerian Association of Women Entrepreneurs, NAWE, Media Extraordinaire, and Media Hub to organize a webinar titled Strategic Roadmap to Improve the Participation of More Credible Women and Youth in Politics and Leadership Positions in Nigeria. So you're therefore all welcomed to be a part of this discussion that will form the fulcrum for the grand coalition of female NGOs in the country. And it is believed that this coalition will be used to pursue common agenda in order to put women at the forefront in leadership positions in this country. Once again, you're all welcome. I don't know if the chairman, WAG, has joined the webinar.
I think she has. I can see her.
Okay,
yes.
Angela, Ms. Maka.
Yes.
Okay, you're welcome, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I must apologize. I don't know what happened. It kept on saying I should register, and I could not link. Anyway, no excuses. The quintessential, dynamic, very beautiful, remarkable, and my sister and friend, Senator Daisy Danjuma, patron WAG. Equally handsome, very handsome, brilliant, special guest of honor, my brother, Pastor Itwa Igodalo, patron WAG, special guest of honor, Mrs. Modupe Oyekunle, my sister, Barrister Vero Ndanusa, our renowned speaker, Zubi Collins, panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am very excited to welcome you to this webinar entitled A Strategic Roadmap to Improve the Participation of Women, Youth in Politics and Leadership Positions in Nigeria. I am very sure you will agree with me that this webinar could not have come at a more auspicious time. Not with the shenanigans of what we're currently seeing, what we're experiencing in our political system. This proportionate number of National Assembly recently gave rise to the rejection of the bills that could have put women in good stead. Of the 469 members, only 19 are women. Do you blame them for throwing out those bills, even though they reconsidered? Just look at the number, just only 4% of that number are women. I am chairman of the Women Alliance Group, Life Foundation, and one of our objectives is to push for the participation of credible women and youths in politics and leadership in our political system. Women are very talented, we're determined, we're committed in building successful families, which is the bedrock of any society. We must harness these talents into our politics and leadership. It is very important that we are critical and strategic in embarking on this journey to accomplishing our desired vision. This webinar has many accomplished, knowledgeable, talented men and women who will definitely guide us in a way forward for realistically achieving our mission. At this point, at this juncture, we send our condolences to the chairman of this webinar, Dr. Mrs. Dere Awoshika, who lost her sister recently and is unable to be with us today. We thank our patrons for accepting to be part of this journey. We also thank all the participating female NGOs and media organizations who are partnering with us to make this webinar a success. I must acknowledge our indefatigable CEO, Dr. Ifeyinwa Nwakwesi, for her untiring dedication to the success of WAG as an association and this webinar in particular. I must also recognize all the wonderful, passionate WAG women here present and even those that are not able to join us for your commitment. We thank you so much. And I must announce at this point that a virtual meeting has been fixed for Wednesday, that's tomorrow, at 3 p.m. to begin to put in place a structure that can get us to our desired goals and objectives. You are welcome, and I'm happy to declare open this webinar. My name is Lami Tumaka, Chairman WAG. Thank you so much for listening to me.
We should clap. It's part of our exercise to clap.
Thank you very much. That was the opening remarks by the chairman of the Women Alliance Group, WAG, Hajia Lami Tumaka. Hajia Lami Tumaka is the chairman of the Women Alliance Group and also a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. She is the chairman, Blue Economy Nigeria Limited, and chairman, HLT 360 Communications, and former director, Nimata. Hajia, we are so grateful. We appreciate the salient points made, and they will be noted. I'll be calling on our very special guest, who is also a patron of the Women Alliance Group. That is in the person of Senator Daisy Njuma. She was the senator representing the Edo State South Senatorial District at the Nigerian Senate from 2003 to 2007. She successfully fought for the eradication of child circumcision in Edo State, emancipating women and youth to sustainable means of livelihood. She is a philanthropist extraordinaire. She currently sits as the executive vice chairman of South African Petroleum Petrol. She is the board chairman, May M. Baker, and a lawyer by profession. Senator, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. And I'm supposed to talk for 5 minutes. So I'll just use my first second to welcome everybody participating in this program right now. Most of the faces are familiar to me. Chairman, thank you for a wonderful remark. And Pastor Itwa, I'm sure you will pray for us for all sort of whatever we talk today or our ambitions to be achieved. Did you say amen to that, Pastor?
Amen, amen, amen.
Like
amen.
I always talk from a personal experience because I chaired women and youth, and this topic is centered around these particular vulnerable people. Women and youth are the most vulnerable people in the society, yet most neglected. And Women form at least more than half of the electorate in all countries that have attained the rights to vote and hold offices in all states members of the United Nations. It will be noted that 75% of Nigeria population are youths. I hope you all know that. Nigeria is a growing population. We have mainly a very youthful population. And the greatest problem we face today is that we are in big trouble that most of the youths are not occupied properly, and most of them are unemployed and not engaged. It is very clear that the traditional working patterns of many political parties and government structures continue to be barriers to women participation in public life. Women may be discouraged from seeking political office by discriminatory attitudes and practices, family and childcare responsibilities, and the high cost of seeking and holding public offices. It's not easy for women to attain political positions because, number one, it's expensive, and the society makes it almost impossible. I have been elected, and I know that for a woman to attain political position, you have to work twice as hard as the male counterparts. You know, every woman you see that have succeeded in being in office today has worked seriously to be there. And the lack of women's political power is a worldwide injustice. The share of women in parliament still does not reach the level of the 30% as agreed in the Beijing conference. We all talk about that, but what are we doing to achieve that? We should try as much as possible. What we have to do now is to make sure we create a lot of awareness in our youth that the future belongs to them. Those who dictate what happens today are old people, but those who have the right to vote, and that consists the majority of the electorate, are the youths, which form 75%, and women. If we can educate them properly, assess them properly, and make them realize what they have at hand, I think we will have a good bargaining power. The greatest problem to women, like you know, that like I've always discovered, men fix meetings at very odd times, because I knew when I was in politics, the men will hold meetings till 4 a.m. Most of the time they are gisting, they are not doing something, not something reasonable, because I've always believed that every serious meeting should not last for more than 2-3 hours. You should be able to get, there's a lot of disruption in this. Okay, it's better now. You know, men make it impossible for women to join meetings at odd hours. I found out, and everybody who's participated in politics will know that they sort of call meetings at odd times. And if you're a woman, you know the difficulties it is to start leaving your home at 2 a.m. going to attend one meeting that is supposed to have lasted for 10 minutes, 20 minutes to take decisions, but they will make it so long and uninteresting, because they want to make sure women are not fully represented. But times have changed now, because right now there are other methods of meeting, and we know that with educating many women, like I've always said, if you train a woman, you train a nation. Women education is core, and engaging the youth, it's very important. I will not spend time talking much, because I know that I'm supposed to talk for 5 minutes. But if I want to talk about women and youth, I'll talk the whole day, because this was my core agenda.
Senator, you've been given, hello, Senator, you've been given an extra 5 minutes. You can go ahead.
No, because I know that this was my core agenda when I was in the Senate, to make sure I increase women participation in policy and decision making, and to make sure youths are adequately engaged, so that we can create a sustainable engagement and development to our youths, you know. So, but people who are going to talk today, all I'm to say is just to highlight a few points which I have done, and we need to create a lot of awareness for our youth so that they'll be able to participate adequately. And we need to encourage our women to come out to join political parties, not just sit down and think, oh, it's easy to be there. You have to work hard. You come out early, register, make sure you are registered in a political party, work hard, and the sky is your limit, you know. But it's our duty now as a group to make sure we push. Recently, you know what happened in the Senate, and I'm very happy the women came out strong to defend, you know. There are many women organizations who came to fight, but there's a lot of discrimination against women, even at this time. And by the grace of God, when we all come together, various societies, which I know, and there's NILO and a lot of other organizations who are fighting to make sure there's adequate increase in participation of women and youths. We have the ACE cards. We are more than men, and the society is 75% adults. So we're not allowed 25% to dictate what happens. If we can come together and make them aware the powers we have to create that change is what is required, you know, and we can do it by creating a lot of awareness. The problem we have most of the time is people play with money in politics, you know, and the main reason I always say is because we don't have our social services don't work. If we have lights, we have basic amenities, all this will not count, you know, but we are poor. Poverty accounts for a lot. And even those who have, who do not do it well, is because of greed. So we need to enlighten our public that we need to come out, get the right things, not just giving me fish, but teach me how to fish so that we get things right. So in this, I would like to listen to people, you know, make adequate contribution to this very important meeting we are having today. Thank you very much. And I think I've said the little I can. I wish everybody a good contribution to this very seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
I talked too much, but not enough, but it's okay.
You did excellently well, ma'am. And you said something, you said the change is required and we can do it. And that's why this webinar has been, you know, organized so that we can see ways that we can, you know, effect change in leadership. Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate.
Thank you.
At this point, I'll be calling a patron of WAG, in the person of Pastor Ifeyinwa Nwakwesi for his remarks. He's one of our special guests. Pastor Ifeyinwa Nwakwesi is the senior pastor of Trinity House. He's an associate Nigerian Institute of Management and the American Institute of Management. He's a fellow of both the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and the Nigerian Institute of Taxation. He's a lover of God, a man who believes that women should be given a place in leadership, and a patron of our dear association, WAG. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. And thank you for, first of all, inviting me to this webinar today and for getting me involved with WAG. I want to congratulate you all for all that you're doing, the chairperson and your CEO. They're really working very, very hard. I want to join forces with my sister and my co-patron, Dr. Daisy Danjuma, Senator Daisy Danjuma, on her remarks and comments on the role and the activities of both women and youth in Nigeria. First of all, let me say that what has happened in Nigeria is that a lot of us have slept on our rights, and that is what we are now all feeling. When the military was living in 1999, and they were virtually begging people to get involved in politics and leadership, a lot of us didn't take too much notice. First of all, we thought we were too busy pursuing our businesses and our professions. Secondly, we didn't trust the process. We thought that the process was again going to be truncated and so on and so forth, but it would end well based on what we had experienced in the past. And what has happened in Nigeria is that the people who got in there first, usually people who had either nothing to lose or one thing or the other, or had seen the benefits of government as a way of influence and sometimes even enrichment and so on and so forth, have occupied the space and taken over the space. So now there's not just discrimination against women alone, there's discrimination against the youth, and definitely discrimination against what they call our elites in Nigeria, who are now sort of scrambling and struggling to get into the leadership space. But having said that, when you wake up in the morning, and it's important that we all try to plug in. And it's not for me just a question of gender or age. It's a question of competence, what is really, really very, very missing in Nigeria today. Competence, ethics, morality, discipline, and the ability. People who really should be in leadership in Nigeria. And of course, I am happy to say that a lot of women fit into this criteria and into this category. And if we go by statistics, I think there are a few more women in Nigeria, maybe about 52% to 49 or 48 women in this country. Similarly, 75% of our youth, those below the age of 35. So by demographics and by number, women should really, really be playing a much more active role and be a lot more involved in leadership in Nigeria. The reason why they are not is the same reason why some of the elites are not. Men have generally occupied the space, and having occupied the space and having that chauvinistic attitude and having that wrong impression that women are better in the other room or they are better in the kitchen or whatever it is, it has led to a lot of men thinking and feeling that they were born to rule and it is their right to rule. But we have seen by experience and knowledge, we have seen where a few women have been in leadership. We have seen where a few women have occupied space, that women can actually do this work extremely well. And I'm proud to say that I am the pastor of at least 3 or 4 women who are CEOs in their banks and chairmen of companies. One of the companies that I chair now, the acting CEO now, is a woman, and she's doing phenomenally well. And I am proud to say also that I've been surrounded, and I'll allow myself to be surrounded by women who are extremely competent. My late wife ran her company, ran it extremely well, and did phenomenally well. My brother's wife, Ifeyinwa, also runs a very, very outstanding company in the furniture industry. My sister does the same, and I encourage all around me women to try and get involved and get engaged. Something very funny happened to me in my office about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I was interviewing a lady for a role, and we discovered that she was pregnant even though she was very suitable for the role. And I signed off and I told my head of HR to employ her, and she didn't say anything. About 4 or 5 days later, my own head of HR, who is a lady, came to tell me that she's sorry that she cannot employ that lady. And I said, why? She says the lady is pregnant. And if we employ her, we'll have to give her maternity leave within a few months, and so on and so forth. And I told her to go and employ the lady, that the lady is married, and once a woman gets married, you expect her to be pregnant and to have as many children as she desires, and that we should not discriminate anyone just because they have obeyed the injunctions of their natural development and, as a pastor, the injunctions of God. So I said, you should go and employ her. She looked at me, she frowned, she her face. She said, we'll give her leave another 2 months. I said, give her leave, and if necessary, give her husband paternity leave too, if we know him. And make sure that after her leave, she now comes back and does her job. And if there's anything she can do for us while she's on leave, she's welcome to do so. She said, well, okay, if she takes this leave, she's not going to have babies for another 2 years. I said, impossible, not on my watch. She can have babies every week if she wants, as long as she's also available when she's free to do our work. And I said, there shall be no form of discrimination in our organization. And I recommend this to as many organizations as possible. You find it ironically that even organizations where women are CEOs, you still have this kind of discrimination against women, not wanting them to have children for a few years, not wanting them to do this and that. I think that is totally out of the question, because a woman is a family woman does not mean she cannot also be productive financially, economically, and deliver. And these are the things that we are trying to encourage. Let me just say and throw out there a few things that I think women should do, and then a few things that I think the youth should do, and I will keep my peace. Number one, I think women should stop being intimidated by any person because he wears trousers. I think you people need to get it. Women need to understand it and make up their minds that they're not going to allow anyone at all to intimidate them. The second thing is to decide that they're going to really aim for the top and be ready to fight for it, and should not be expecting any special favors because and be expecting to work hard for whatever they want in their lives because of who they are. So they should also not be expecting any special favors from anyone because they're women. Number three, they must singularly and collectively put themselves out there and stand up and make themselves available for any kind of opportunity that arises. Number five, or number five, they must also be strategic. You know, in this life, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you work for and what you negotiate. You're not going to sit back and say, well, this should come to me because no, you are going to go out there and get it. Women also ought to think ahead and they need to be strategic. Number five, I think women need to unite a bit more. And that's why I like WAG and for what they're doing. I also enjoy very much Wimbies and all that they have done. Women should unite together and speak collectively where possible with one voice. Number six, where they see any form of discrimination by anyone for any reason, they should speak up and shout out. They should speak up and shout out. In offices where they're sexually harassed, they should speak up and shout out. In homes where there's domestic violence for any reason, they should speak up and shout out. Although these days it's sometimes the women doing the domestic violence, but nonetheless, where they are, they should speak up and shout out. Those who have been abused should not feel ashamed to also speak up and shout out. Because if you're a silent mouth, is a silent destiny. And therefore, they should speak up and shout out and be a bit more aggressive in the demands of the things that they want. Number 7, I want to appeal to our women that where opportunity presents itself, please do your work effectively well. Do your work effectively well. If you need to work late till 11 p.m., please do so. If you need to bring the kids to follow you to work, my wife used to take the children to her office from time to time, do so. Don't expect any kind of exceptional legal treatment just because you say you're a woman. Of course, society will allow for natural things that women need to do, but you also be ready to work hard and challenge the men. You know, you want to play politics as a woman, you don't want to have midnight meetings, you must have another thing coming, because a lot of the time, these thoughts and these movements are made in the midnight. So when you are getting married to your husband or whatever, you must make sure you have a husband who understands where you are going, what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to become, and is ready to support you 100%. I gave my wife 110% support for whatever she wanted to do. She needed to go for a meeting at night. I allowed her, and if she couldn't drive, I drove her to the meetings myself. If she needed to go out at 2 a.m. to do decorations in Lagos State, I allowed her to go out at 2 a.m., come back at 6 a.m. Sometimes I would take her myself, and I'll be sleeping in the car, she'll be doing her decorations. You must ensure that in your choice of spouse, you take a spouse who is liberated, whose mind is open, and who is comfortable in his own skin, and who is ready to allow you to become what you want to become in life. A lot of husbands don't realize that they are not happy at home because the women are not fulfilling their purposes and they are limiting their potential. So you must make sure that your focus and your vision is clear. Most of what I've said concerning women and what I would like them to do is, and also to challenge for the highest position in the land, and don't take it seriously. Don't take it as a joke. Challenge for it. You want to become president of Nigeria? Go and work hard, go and do the research, challenge for it, and show your skill and show your competence and show your experience that you can do it. Don't back off and say, no, you want to now sit back and look after your husband and look after your children and be doing a move up and down. It's not going to work, because we want more women to get involved in this thing that we're doing. People are not ready to take the hard decisions. They are not ready to make the sacrifices. They are not ready to lead from the front. They are not ready to go the routes that they need to go to make it happen. As for the youth, they should stop thinking of themselves as youth and marginalized people. They should just buckle down and get the work done. And they should not start from the top. They should start from the bottom. A lot of the youth who want to be president, why don't you start being a councillor, start being a local government chairman, start being a commissioner, start being something or the other, and then build up your criteria and your team there. That's how Obama started. And if you start on the track early enough, you get a space on the table soon enough. Ladies and gentlemen, you know I'm a pastor. If you allow me, I'll preach and preach and preach and preach, and then I'll take an offering. But let me just suffice to say that these are my few comments I'm throwing out, and I want to listen to everyone else. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Ifeyinwa Nwakwesi. Pastor Ifeyinwa Nwakwesi is a patron of Women Alliance Group. He's made some key points for women and youth to take their place in leadership, and I'm sure these points are noted. We appreciate you, sir, and we thank you. Next, I'll be calling on one of our guests present. She is the National Coordinator for the Association of Nigerian Women Business Network. Women Alliance Group is not alone in this collabo. We are collaborating with other female NGOs, and ANWBN is one of them. And so we have present the National coordinator, Mrs. Modupe Oyekunle. She's the founder, CEO of Masterpiece Resource Development Center, the founder of Masterpiece Schools, and co-founder ICRS Limited, a documentation and real estate construction company. She's currently the national coordinator of Association of Nigerian Women's Business Network, ANWBN, a coalition of over 63 women business associations spread across the 6 geopolitical regions, including the FTC. She is a sought-out international speaker, a seasoned entrepreneur, a nation builder, and a lover of God. Together with her husband, they pastor his Masterpiece Church. You're welcome, ma'am. You have 5 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. A good afternoon to you, my dear sister. I want to, first of all, appreciate Dr. Ife, very energetic woman at your age. Thank you so much for putting this together. Meeting you has been a while. I truly, truly appreciate you. I want to thank all our earlier speakers for a great work. Appreciating Hajia Lami Tumaka. I think I met Hajia during the last shipping your women in shipping when Mrs. Hammond was the president then, and she's now our deputy national coordinator. Thank you, Hajia Lami. Thank you, our dear, beautiful, elegant Senator Daisy Danjuma. Well-crafted presentation, ma'am. And I want to thank
connection.
Pastor Itwa Igudalo for what you just said, that God will continue to keep you, sir. My name is Modupe Oyekunle. I'll first of all begin by introducing to some and also appreciating all our women leaders. Some of them on the call. I can see some of the presidents of associations as well and other guests. Association of Nigerian Women Business Network is a coalition of over 63 business associations that was put together by Center for International Private Enterprise, SIPE. Now, it started with 18 associations, and from 18 associations, it has grown to 63 as we speak. So we have, diverse associations. We have women in mining, women in shipping, women drivers, women in farming, all cut across, architects, engineers, women lawyers, different associations, new, WIMBYs, HAWEB, NASMI women, NASI women, all over. And one of the things that we have as a strength is the fact that we have a spread across the 6 geopolitical zones, including FCT. We have zonal representation and we have state representatives. At the moment, there's an ongoing national advocacy project with a focus on 5 key priority areas. And one of those 5 key priority areas is gender inequality. And that was why we immediately saw what is called Womanifesto is doing now. We plunged into it straight away. I want to thank, I think I can see Dr. Akinyode on the call. I appreciate, what, the team, doing. And that was why we actually went all out in support of the Occupy NAS rally. So be that as it may, I want to just, from the various advocacy expressions, at our state training, we have been training on advocacy all across the states, so to speak. All our state representatives are also engaging people at the state level, working with, all the other coalition members, all the associations, female associations. One of the things that we have seen is the fact that every one of us as Nigerians, we are tired of where we are. As the first thing, we're tired. Everybody is tired. And the reason why we are tired is that the things that we're tired of, the things that is affecting us, the issues of, high rate of insecurity, power, our 35% affirmative action that we're asking for, there are things that, are not rocket science. And we believe that there are things that should be done and should be made easily. However, from deep thought, I would want to say that where we need to begin on the subject matter, really for me, is engagement, looking at that strategic roadmap to improve participation of more credible women and youth in politics and leadership positions in Nigeria. Where we need to begin really is the unity of women, where women groups, women leaders, for once will just drop all whatever perspectives, how I feel about what you are doing and what you are not doing, who is leading, who is not leading, who is in charge, who is not in charge. We drop all of that and we know that we have a common fight. And that common goal is that we want a new Nigeria. It's a common goal. And once we understand that we have that common goal, we're not bothered about who takes credit. We're not bothered about different silos of doing things. I'll do my own, you do your own. No, it's time for all of us to come together, support ourselves, choose who will be in the forefront, and we will all support absolutely to ensure that, we have a common front in asking for what we want. Unity, and when I say unity, I mean it at all fronts. If you talk to men and talk to women, you will know that that's one of the major issues. And that major issue really, it's a natural part of us that we are using against ourselves. A woman is naturally territorial. It's a natural tendency of a woman. And you want your space. How do you know that? Go into a secondary school hostel or a university hostel. Get into a boys hostel. Hardly do you see my corner, my space. Everybody in the room, they are all together. And go into a female hostel. As small as that female hostel is, everybody has their corner. And that corner is barricaded for myself and my own alone. And so that mindset cannot help us in achieving, our common goal, if we indeed and truly want to be strategic in our involvement in this engagement. That's the first one. And so in doing that, we need to understand that we see differently, we think differently, we have different perspectives to things. But then if your perspective is not my perspective, let us agree on a common goal, and then we together are united on that front. The second,
I think we've lost her.
I'm still there, somebody muted me.
Okay.
Okay, I said the second way to be able to achieve the strategic framework we want to have is to engage political parties. No matter how much we say we want to do or achieve anything, it is still at the political level that we can get that done. APC, PDP, all the political parties, engage them, sensitize them, talk with them, and ensure that they institute and create that affirmative action within the political parties. In fact, what we should be doing now is to say that no woman, no vote. If we're not getting what we want, you are not going to be using us as just singing for you, especially, and doing, no, we're not. We're not just going to be They're not going to be using us for voting. No, we want this 35% affirmative action, and we need to engage political parties. The third aspect for me is to also engage religious and traditional rulers at all levels within the state, because there are some states that would not accept this affirmative action because they believe religiously that women should still be at the background. And so once they are spoken to at that level, we'll then be able to get what we want. But most importantly for me, really, is my last statement. My last statement is actually training and building the capacity of the women we want to present. If we fight for this, we need to build the capacity of the women we want to present. So that if they ask us, okay, you have been asking for this, asking for 35% of a message, you are asking, okay, right, we have created a slot. Where are the women? We need to build their capacity. We know we have, but the percentage of what we have, is not that seen from two perspectives. Number one, most women do not want to come out for political positions. And then, although it's changing now, it's changing now, but we need to train and build the capacities of others. We need to build a funding part to ensure that they have money to be able to pick tickets, because you might have seen what is going on right now in Nigeria. It's not easy. Where are they going to get the money from? Let's say it the way it is. Yes, people will support and all of that, but how many of the women have the capacity to be able to do that? And so we need to have a pool. And I know a lot of organizations are coming up that wants to support women with respect to financing. So if we can have that aspect of financing, building capacity, financing such women, and then let's have godmothers, women that will be able to hold the hand of other women and say, you know what? I'm going to support you. I'm going to push you. You can do it. You can do it. And then we'll push them and we'll be able to see that. It is important for us to have that. And the last but not the least, I'm also a preacher, just like Pastor Ochoa said, if you allow me, I can go and talk, and I like preaching and training. But the last point is that there's an aspect I need us to deal with. I don't know how we're going to do it, but this is some of the women that I will not say embarrasses us, but I don't know how to coin it. Women that throw themselves at men and make it look as if all the women in politics are women that have sold their bodies. And it is so sad. I'm sure Madam Daisy is nodding her head.
Okay, I think she's having network challenge. Okay. Okay. I see our senator giving a thumbs up to what she was saying. And, fantastic. Okay. We're mindful of time. That was the remarks by the,
and understanding what I mean, man, because it's so embarrassing at the same. So
okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Please, let's appreciate.
It's on. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. That was Mrs. Modupe Oyekunle. She's also a preacher, as you can see, and she's the national coordinator for the Association of Nigerian Women Business Network, one of the collaborating NGOs with WAG. We appreciate you, ma'am, for those salient and very, very frank points you just listed out. We're going to go next on the agenda by calling one of our guests. She's also a barrister, and she is the national president of one of the associations that WAG is collaborating with. That is in the person of Barrister Vera Ndanusa. She is a lawyer by profession and the national president, Nigerian Association of Women Entrepreneurs, NAWE, spread across the 36 states of Nigeria. She has been at the forefront of advocating for women in leadership, and it's a pleasure to have you here, Ma. Good evening, Ma.
Good evening. I'm a son, and the he for she is in our midst. It is my pleasure to be my own big auntie, my sister to matter. To the women of
Okay, I guess she's having a network challenge. Barrister Vera, are you still there? I think. Okay. I think we've lost her. Okay, without wasting much time, we'll be going. Straight into the webinar proper. We're going to be calling on the speaker for today's webinar, and the person of Zubi Collins. Zubi is an innovation and development strategist. He's passionate about protecting the power of imagination in Africa and the veritable economic benefits to Africa's emerging markets. He's a strategic brand and design development consultant and believes strongly in the art of design thinking. He believes in the form and function as a way for unique product innovation. He also believes that Nigeria, as a prime African state, is packed with endless and limitless creative energy and possibilities. Strategic partnerships for the growth and promotion of design innovation and the development of intellectual property as a key element and catalyst for economic growth. His idea is to create value through the infallible trail of human experience, principle-based engagement, and design thinking for sustainable development. His long-term goals are focused on cultural transformation through group consciousness and awareness, the reimagination of Nigeria and Africa through intellectual property development by changing the existing narratives of IP rights, which lays an unfair emphasis on the legal roles of lawyers instead of product developers, and the respect for intellectual property and can only thrive through private sector engagement with government supporting with the right policy environment. He believes that this will enable value innovations that will enhance human progress and social engineering. He believes that whatever exists is only a fraction of what is possible. Please let's appreciate our speaker, Zubi Collins, as he comes up. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Good evening.
You have 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I will stay on existing protocols, and I've heard very wonderful speeches, very awesome, wonderful speeches from Senator Daisy Danjuma, from Pastor Itwa, who are people I've looked up to for a very long time in life, and they've given very outstanding inroads or thoughts to how we can help more women get into politics and youths. I will start by saying that I'm a product 100%, and I mean 100% when I say that, but I'm a product of a very powerful woman who trained. Okay, so as I was saying, I said I'm a product of a very great woman who raised me. It is very interesting to see that the ones who have the most power actually are being the ones called the weaker vessels, or that they have been neglected in the society one way or the other. And I mean the most power, and I mean that in every sense of it. And I'll start by quoting Ayn Rand, who says, the question is who is going to let me? It is who is going to stop me. I will give a story about a South African community that lacked water for a period of time. So the women had to travel very far to get water to their homes. Traveling as much as 5 to 10 kilometers to get water to their homes. The men just went about their daily businesses. They would come back and expect the women to cook, clean, and of course, at the end of the day, still do the bedroom duties. After a while, the women got tired and got together and had a meeting. In that meeting, the women decided that they were not going to go get water, neither will they offer any sexual privileges to the men anymore. And they locked up all the brothels, they locked up all the motels and hotels. They told everyone to agree with a plan and strategy. It did not take a week from the story or two before all the boreholes, all the wells in the community started running, because first, men were deprived of sex. What am I saying? I said that to say this. I think women have not realized what powers they have. So they are going cap in hand and begging the men to let them. And now that's the unfortunate thing. Nobody lets you into power. Nobody lets you into power. Power is taken, never given. And I think that's where the issues are. When you hear all the speakers who have said or mentioned the thing, it's the same narrative. The narrative is the same. The problem is, we know what the issues are. We know what the issues are: gender parity, women non-inclusiveness, and all that. We know what the issues are. The problems are not alien to us. But I would rather focus on what the solution can be than focus on what the problems are, because we know what the problems are. The problems are there with us. But again, before I go forward, I always ask the why. Why should women be given more quota? Why should more women be in governance? Why should more women be in politics? Would it make it better? Are there any numbers, statistics, any competitive index that says, oh, if you allow a woman rule, the economy might be better? Yes, there are. Unfortunately, and I think that's where the problem with all the gathering, and I agree with the last speaker and Pastor Itwa, who says that women have to unite. But I put it in a simple way, just from my story. Women need to agree beyond just uniting. They need to agree on a strategy, because women are operating without strategy. They need to agree on a set goal and objective. But let's go to the statistics. McKinsey says that if more women are allowed into leadership roles or to play more active roles in the economy, that the economy will grow by 23%. If you take it to the Nigerian GDP, that's about 229 or thereabouts, $1 million. And that's huge. There are a lot of, we know there are lots of women group, women associations, but then we ask ourselves, how much are they doing right now? What are they doing? What are the strategies? The last speaker, I'm sure, will be speaking from experience when she says that all women need to unite. Are women speaking with the same voice? And if they're speaking with the same voice, what are they saying? What is the message? What is the communication message? I would like to say the why, the how, and the when. Why should women be allowed? Of course, we've just said that it will help the economy better because we all know that women are more empathic, women are compassionate and all of that. But beyond all of that, Pastor Ifeyinwa mentioned something, which is when you get there, make it better for you to set a standard as a role model. I usually say all the time that there are enough women in power within the private sector and the public sector to drive any conversation, that will bring about whether economic emancipation or breakthroughs in technologies. And I mean when women unite. I could have just told a little story about my mother. I'm a product of a woman, and I mean 100%. Everything. Women that give life forms and train men. I don't know why we're losing power. It's either I'm almost saying we, because I feel I'm a woman in some vein. Is it that the strategy we lack in agreement? And I think that is what is affecting all of us. Nigeria is bad. Nigeria is terrible. It's not something we can be talking about. What I say to myself is we need to stop the talk shops and put our lives in action. How do we put our lives in action? There are 75% adults in the population. Within the 75% adults in the population, there are about 49.9 women in that population. There are 70% youths in that. The problem of the youths are a bit more complex, and I will tell you why. Before I continue with the women, I'll tell you why. Let me take NSAS as a case study. For me, NSAS failed, and for one reason, it failed for one reason. Because the youths do not have a system. What the government feared at NSAS was the fact that they realized all of a sudden that these youths, these guys are building a system with less than $200 million, or 200 million naira, sorry, at the toll gates. Whether it should have happened that way, whether they should have blocked the toll gates and all that, those are issues that can be discussed at another time. But the youth do not have systems. So you complain on Twitter, they seize Twitter, you make so much noise and raise so much money, they take away the fintech technology that you have registered. Youth are not looking to the tools that they have that the older generations do not understand. And I think that's where the fight begins, really. Beyond talks, we have been talking. It is time we put our lives into action. Let me tell you, just to say a bit, because the truth is, a lot has been said how we can do trainings, a lot has been said about engagement platforms, a lot has been said about support systems. But let me tell you, you cannot do anything without money. Then someone says that, oh yes, there are a lot of people who are trying to bring money into the women structure or coalitions. Beyond that, women can raise monies themselves. Nobody needs to give a woman money, really and truly, for her to do it. You need money to take power. You need money to execute ideas, execute interests, execute planning, The plan is what you want to do. The strategy is how you want to do it. But you need money. How do you get that money? On this platform alone, I'm going to be random because there are lots of things to discuss on this. If we keep talking about this, we will go on and we'll keep going on without ending today. Every woman on this platform right now is wearing makeup. Every woman. The beauty industry in Nigeria is 500 billion. The beauty in Nigeria, and I mean facts. The beauty industry rated 2021 is about 500 billion. Now, if you divide that by the number of women we have in Nigeria, it will come to about 5,000 naira per person. If you divide that. Now, I'm not saying that all those are the active customers or consumers of makeup products. I'm not saying that all those are the active consumers of makeup products. No. But raising funds is one of the easiest things to do when you have agreement, when there is strategy, because it's this product first. When there's a reason, then money comes. Money comes after a vision, not before a vision. If you have vision, then money comes after it. You have a vision, you have plan, you have those objectives, then money comes after it. Women are taken for granted, but how come they are taking themselves for granted also? And I think that's what the issue is. Women are not in agreement. This just one thing is the key issue. When we can resolve on this, then we can take care of every other thing. But we need to first agree, how do we get women to be in agreement and to speak with one voice? Speaking with one voice is that we totally agree about how we look at life. No, I don't think that's what it is, because we're different humans. Some born in Oshogo, some born in London, some raised in New York. So you will have different ideas. So that's why I always say that the greatest bane of idea is when people say that when we all think alike, breakthroughs happen. No, we don't need to think alike. We do not really need to think. The problem is that one of the problems we actually have is that we might be thinking alike. Let's think differently, but with collective interest. The main thing is the interest. What is the interest? Get more women in politics. Different ideas can shape that narrative. But at the end of all that we do, money will get us into that.
This morning, Father, I asked for.
There is a mic that is on.
Okay, go ahead.
Go on. Okay, thank you. And so the money solves that problem for us at the end of the day. And collaboration, effective engagement platform, awareness and education, these all are key issues. Imagine if you took 100 naira from each makeup product. Most makeup products are owned by women, at least within Nigeria. Jaron, Tara, just name them. Every cosmetic business around, whether foreign and local, women can actually reach goals to say, oh, let's take 100 naira, 200 naira from. You never know what 100 naira does until you have 2 million people that you take 100 naira from. And that will build capacity, because when you are training people and you're executing, you get tired when you're funding it yourself from your pocket, out of pocket. So there must be a coalition that says, yes, we have one purse. Let's raise an account that is called She First, for example, a She First account, maybe with First Bank of Nigeria. The interest is to get more women in politics. Take 100 naira from every woman that is in this nation that uses a makeup brand. The strategy to build that, how to integrate that, executing it, enforcing it is not a problem. It's just ideation. But how do we get women to agree? Creating a framework to raise funds for women is some of the easiest things, because first, how is it that men respect their mothers so well? Who is a woman? And yet we're talking about gender parity. So there's something that is not being done right. Really and truly, there's something not right. This cannot solve this problem. This platform, this webinar is a start. It's the first step in a journey of 1,000 miles. But we need to actually sit down and begin to ask ourselves, how do we strategically get more women into governance? Because the problem the youth have these days is that you stay and wake up and you're campaigning. You have not done any work, just like Pastor Ifeyinwa Nwakwesi said. You have not done any community works. You have not done any empowerment. You have not taken any educational process. You have not empowered yourself how politics functions. All of these are issues, and they are issues that need to be addressed one after the other. When we continue to ignore them, or when we continue to say that, women need permission from the men folks to get into politics, the longer it will take for us to realize the goal. And I think the faster, the better, really and truly. There's so much to say. Everyone has said every beautiful thing that needs to be said. The gap is so big, the gap is huge. I think there were about 20 women or thereabouts, I can't remember now, in the last election at the House of Assembly. Now, these are issues that needs to be addressed. And when you're a woman, Senator Daisy Danjuma said you work twice. I think you actually work because of how women have been preconditioned and the narratives that have shaped cultural messages or transformation that has shaped how we think about women. You actually work 10 times more. There are a lot of issues from violence that exposes women because of the way they've been preconditioned to, there are too many issues. But these things can be achieved. And just like Pastor Ifeyinwa said, you cannot be asking for a free lunch. You work as hard as anyone. There is no one stopping you. It's just the strategy that is the problem. How do we answer the questions of strategy? Fundraising is the smallest thing that can be done. What is the vision? What is the goal? How do we develop a framework? Call a coalition, collaboration, engagement platform, educating women, awareness from grassroots to all levels of governance. Partnership with political parties will come automatic. I think women should get into the grassroots, empower women, empower youth, build systems. Let the government or the existing government know that, oh, you can raise 100 million and do community works at different levels. Impact community works, at different levels. When that begins to happen, it becomes a trust relationship. You see, the problem the Nigerian society is having right now is actually a trust relationship. We do not believe in a lot of things. So a lot of people either want to run away or say, it does not concern me. I'm not going to be part of it. I'm a woman, I do not want to speak it. This is how they view women. So they would rather do things that are not, that are self-glorifying than get engaged even in common businesses, let alone politics. So for me, it's funding. The strategy is to get money. Before doing that, let us get a structure that will promote what women represent. First, what do women represent? A structure that will promote what women represent. And in getting a structure for what women represent is to call all the women head, wherever they are in all sectors of the economy, public sector and private sector, and have a seat and have a round table. It will not happen with everyone. It has to start somehow. Get a document that supports the vision, the goal. Then we strategize on saying, oh, let's raise funds. How do we raise funds? There are many ways funds can be raised. There are too many ways funds can be raised. I'm being notified about my time, 2 minutes. The truth is, no man will give any woman power. Politics is the game of power. Either way you want to look at it. We need to agree on how women will take up the roles of being powerful naturally. taking up the responsibilities and duties that is natural to them. Because I don't know how women train men, let them out into the society, then the men restrain them from being competitive or being functional. There is a strategy that is not right. We cannot give that strategy here. It's not something that we can begin to say, oh, this is how the strategy works, but there can be a framework that will actually be effective and seamless. A lot of people have done it. Senator Daisy Danjuma did it. A lot of more women have done. So we need to ask ourselves, how do we begin this conversation? We need to change the narrative. For me, it's putting it in action beyond just the rhetorics and the talks. Thank you so much. My name is Zubi Collins.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zubi Collins. That was very, very impactful coming from a man. We appreciate, we appreciate you. Thank you. Mr. Zubi Collins said, politics is a game of power. No man will give a woman that power. So we need to take it by uniting, which is the basis for this coalition. Thank you for that blunt truth, and we appreciate you. Before we go on a break to take the spoken words, which encapsulates what this coalition is all about, I'll invite Barrister Vera Ndanusa. She just sent a message that her network is okay now. Barrister?
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, network. No, we'll get there. One day Nigeria will not have interruptions anymore. Like I said before, I'd like to appreciate every speaker that has spoken, who've touched on the issues, especially the last one. And then I wish we will work with everything we've heard. What the last speaker has just said now, it's very, very paramount. We cannot collect political power if we don't have financial power. I've said that oftentimes, that we will not be leaders just because we are women. Being a woman is not a passport to the position of power and authority, political power, but being a woman that knows her worth. A woman like Dr. Daisy, a woman like Hajia Lami Tumaka, a woman like Dr. Ife, that have done so much, that have broken the ceiling in their own various field. That is what we need to be. It's time women wake up. We need to indeed look at what we need to do to change the narratives. There's a lot on ground because the rot has been going on for far too long. We've been there where we are today because tradition was against us, culture was against us, religion was against us, and so on. This is the time we need to break the bias. This is the time we need to come together and do what is right and take our rightful position. Every woman needs to have something doing, knowing that we women, we are actually dynamic, we are unique, we are created uniquely. Every woman has something a man does not have. We do apologies to the he for she on this platform. We have special ability given to us by God to be able to blend both the house, the family, and the outside work. But you cannot do that if you don't have a voice. And you will not have a voice if you don't have economic power. So I would like to speak about empowerment because I know we have formed a lot of coalitions, like Mrs. Modukwe said. They are all businesswomen, president of businesswomen network. There's another network I also heard that we have over 60 women NGOs and CSOs, as well as being the president of women entrepreneurs in Nigeria. But all these are not enough because I see that sometimes we women are our own problems. Most of us, maybe because of the long time mindset we have come up with, because even your parents will tell you They are not supposed to be where the men are. We have so developed our own mindset to be subservient to men. We think that we are not supposed to be where we are. Just look at, for instance, the political activities going on now. How many women have come out to pick political forms, to pick presidential forms? And I know that we have women that can rule this nation and rule it better than most of the men that have ruled. So what I'm going to say, while we form this coalition, we also need to improve ourselves. We need to have something doing, and we need to be on top of whatever we are doing. Sometimes some of us like to speak without following up on what we say. Nothing easy, but like I've already said, like I said earlier on, we have what it takes to get what we want. So if we're economically empowered, definitely we'll be confident. A woman that works tall is a woman that is empowered. A woman that speaks out is a woman that is empowered. A woman that is heard is a woman that can stand on her own. So we need to do the things. It has been mentioned here that we need money to go ahead. Yes, indeed, we need money. Women, it's high time we also tap into what we have. It's high time we use our hands, we develop our businesses, our network, and get what we want. Women are larger in numbers, we are more in numbers, but are we making use of our numbers in the right way? No. The other time we occupied National Assembly, I want to tell you that the percentage of women that were there were so insignificant to the percentage of women that reside even in Abuja. However, I am glad, thank God that some of us went out. However, we can do better. Then we need to, every day of our life, engage the men. Then we need to engage the men and show them that we are good. When a man sees a woman speaking in the public and she knows what she's talking about, then the man, no matter how hard he is, one day he will say, let's give this woman a chance. Let's give this woman a chance. How many of us actually listen to news? How many of us know the political structure of the parties? Most of us do. Most of us know how.
Okay. Thank you very much, Barrister. I think we've lost you there, but we've gotten your point and we really appreciate. Barrister made mention of economic power, that when women are economically empowered, they can have a voice and will be heard. We should put more action into our words. We appreciate you. Thank you, ma'am. We're going to go straight to the spoken words before we call on our panelists and take the question and answer session. The spoken words actually encapsulates what this coalition is all about, and I want us to please listen and as it's being played. Thank you.
Women and youth talk to us. Time for action is now. That can improve the participation of women and youths in our politics and leadership. Women and youth are determined, committed, and resilient. Many women and youth are compassionate, empathic, passionate, and impactful. Many of us are credible, honest, and live lives of integrity. We are concerned about poverty and the unemployment index. We want to give our children and youths better lives. We will encourage them to adopt the integrative lifestyle to work on becoming the best version of themselves. We will collaborate for maximum impact in lives of others. We will empower the women and youth to earn some living through agro-based small-scale farming. We will use talented and knowledgeable Nigerians to help us make the desired change. We are pushing for a grand alliance of all women and youth, networks to pursue the common agenda to get more women and youths into politics and leadership. The coalition must begin now. Women Alliance Group / Life Foundation Association of Nigerian Women Business Network, ANWBN, Association of Women Entrepreneurs, NAWE, Media Extraordinaire and Media Hub are discussing this coalition. WhatsApp 070344 is in need for the details.
Okay, that was the words encapsulating what this webinar is all about, and it's our belief that action will be met with our words. We have 5 panelists for this webinar. However, Mrs. Ibijoke Faborode, who is the founder of Electa, is unavoidably absent, and so we are left with 4 panelists who will do justice to today's webinar by giving their remarks. So I'm going to start by calling Dr. Abiola Akiyode Afolabi, the convener of Womanifesto. So Dr. Abiola Akiyode Afolabi is a human rights attorney, gender expert, and feminist. Abiola has won several awards for her work, a leader of the Nigerian women's movement, and an ardent believer in women's solidarity. She has worked with women in politics for over 20 years and has written several books and organized several capacity building for them and women organizations that work with them. Dr. Abiola's work has led to the expansion of spaces for women in political parties in some states in Nigeria, including Ogun State and Ekiti State. She has also contributed to groundbreaking policy advocacy that led to the passage of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, an affirmative action policy, and laws in some states in Nigeria. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, my sister, Ifeyinwa, for good moderation. I want to thank the chair of today's meeting, and I want to particularly recognize Dr. Ife and Dr. Daisy Benjamin for the good work that you're doing. It's been a very wonderful conversation, and I sat here also listening in. And also trying to see how to match some of the discussion also with theory and also the reality on ground in the last period of my work. One of the points that I first want to, because I could hear a lot around the issue of finance and also the issue of tapping on the numbers. I quite agree that finance is very important, but it's important for us to first get clearly some 3 points because I have very few minutes. I will quickly glance through those 3 points. One, the fact is that there's a superstructure within the political party that determines women opportunities in politics. And that superstructure also limits their aspiration. And until when we admit that, there's something within the political party that is not making things work for women, and we'll see how to dismantle that superstructure. Even if we have all the money, we still may not get the number of women that we want. And I can give example of 2019 elections. Quite a number of women who had the means came out, but they did not win the ticket. So my point is that money alone will not solve the problem. Yes, political power is important, but we need more than that. I mean, economic power is important, but we need more than that to deconstruct the patriarchy within the political party. Then secondly, I also want to raise the point that having women alone around the table does not translate to political effectiveness. So the fact that women are there does not mean automatically we have addressed issues of political effectiveness, for the country. Yes, policies and laws can do some work if we have them, because people can hold people accountable. But it's just also one of the means, to an end. So I want to first raise those 3 issues. And I want to say, in Kenya, that the law was changed around 2011 or 2012. And they had a constitution that allowed for participation of women, particularly at the Senate level. Unfortunately, the political parties still refused when they got to the time for nomination to add women into the political party nominations. So the election went and they didn't get enough women despite the constitutional provision. Then women went to court to challenge that. At the end of the day, the women, despite the law, still did not achieve their needs. In Rwanda, which we all talk about, there are about 65% women in the political setting, but still yet, it has not also become like Uhuru for women, but it is a good example, it's a good model that countries want to follow. Now, having said that, there are issues that have been raised here in terms of raising funds, raising money for women in politics. I could recall some years back, I think 2012, the Nigerian Women Trust Fund was founded. The fund was supposed to support women in politics. Now, so there was the Abacha loot, which the SDG, SDG agency, the agency on SDG, was asked to manage. So they were asked to then use that, part of the money was given to the Ministry of Women Affairs and the Nigerian Women Trust Fund to support women in politics. I could remember that people were contesting, got like 500, some got 750 and what have you. But I cannot recall that that support to women was actually enough to translate the space for them. So in our conversation about economic empowerment, I think it's also, we need to also understand that it's a long-term goal, except we are very strategic. And we're saying if we have, let's say for instance, we have like 1 billion that we want to use to support the election, we probably would, and I am sure those who have been in politics will be able to explain more. We probably will use that to target like 10 women or thereabouts. If we target more, we will still come back to the same zero level, because we know that Nigerian politics today, it's money politics. So my point is that economic empowerment for women is not only for politics, it's also for voice and for a lot of other things. So it's a broad-based conversation that we need to have so that we all have that power to be able to negotiate at every level. But for politics, I think we need that economic alternative, but we need to do more than wanting to contribute money. I think we need to find women. There are women who have the funds, who can support 1 or 2, and we'll be able to support, and that's what they meant, we'll be able to support them all through. But what we're also going to create at the end of the day is that we'll create the godmothers. I think there's something wrong with the political structure. The political structure of any country should not be driven by money. It should be driven by values and principle. And until when we get to that level, where value and principle, we drive our political consciousness, we may not be able to achieve the kind of country that we're talking about. I agree that we need to build, and I want to wrap up, we need to build interest communities. We need to go back and start doing what you are doing in this meeting. We need to create awareness. We need to talk to ourselves as women who want a change in the country. We need to be very emotional about it and very intentional, about it. So we need to be conscious and have what we can call empowered citizens. Empowered citizens who know what politics is and who knows how politics can better the lot of Nigeria. Secondly, we need to occupy patriarchal spaces. There are several women in political parties, but what are they doing in political parties? They need to take advantage of their being in political parties in large number to demand accountability from the political party structures. If we don't do that, we will continue to just go around and dance around because we are not wielding power with our voices within the political party. So there must be an emotional bonding, and that's where I'm stopping. Women must work together. We must build alliances. And that's why I like the idea of Women Alliance Group. We need to come together and bond as one. We need to be able to push our issues, together as one person. I was part of the conveners of the Nigerian Women's Movement, which Madam Vera talked about in front of the National Assembly. It was something different. It was finding people in politics, people in NGO, people in different sectors coming together, believing in ourselves. And I think we need to do more of that to be able to address the problem of women's political participation. The Woman Manifesto is a group of women, and I'm going to probably share on the WhatsApp the Nigeria women want. What kind of Nigeria do we want as women? I think that's important. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abiola Akiode Afolabi. Well spoken. And you mentioned the fact that women must work together to build alliances. And I'm sure that's the focus of today's webinar, how we can work together in order to build ourselves and place ourselves in leadership position. I'm going to call on the second panelist, Mrs. Nkechi Ali-Balogun. She was a former chairman, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Lagos chapter, fellow NIPR member of Council NIPR, senior member of the African Public Relations Association, APPRA, professional awards. She's gotten professional awards, among others, include PR Golden Eagle Award as the most outstanding public relations practitioner 2 times consecutively, and Lifetime Achievement Award from the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. Mrs. Ali-Balogun has been recognized and awarded the Red Media Living Legend Industry Award in recognition of outstanding contributions to the media industry in West Africa. She got the Female Public Relations Personality Award of the Year, NIMCA. In 2020, she was listed as one of Africa's leading ladies in public relations and marketing by the Guardian newspaper. She was also listed as one of the 50 most Nigerian women in 2021 by the Business Day newspaper. She has spent the last 30 years in media and public relations practice. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Good evening, and thank you, Madam Moderator, for such an excellent job. Because of time, I don't think I want to go into so many things because a lot has been said. I'm going to restructure my thoughts so that we don't go on saying what others have said. However, I must still pay courtesies to our patrons, the chairman of WAG, the CEO, and other groups that have joined WAG. A very good evening and thank you. Before I go on, let me quickly thank Mr. Collins also for some very critical thoughts and also subtly throwing the question back at us women. I hope we got that. In a very subtle ways, like women, sort yourselves. Now, to develop a strategic roadmap that will improve women participation in politics, we must critically examine those factors or menace that have tended to deter female participation in politics in order to find lasting answers to them. And if you listen, everybody has spoken about funds, about, but I want to tell you now that we cannot have funds unless women come together. Women are naturally sacrificial. They can go any length to do something if they believe in it. So I think the first thing we must do is to break the bias against ourselves. We should be less critical of ourselves and be intentionally and deliberately supportive of one another. Without the bias, women have the critical mass, intellectual capability, spiritual power, and social sensibility to rewrite the course of the Nigerian woman in the body politic. Women must identify those trivial behavioral patterns and innuendos and have their eyes on the ball if they must be a force to be reckoned with in the next elections. We must also, along other campaigns, I believe, start reorientation of women's mindsets that have been dominated and enslaved by traditional cultures and stereotypes that forbade or discouraged the woman from being the best of herself. of herself. Now, this calls for focused actions that will eliminate structural and legal obstacles that hinder girls' and women's participation in politics, as well as in decision-making. We must hold those obstructing us accountable. Women, we need to be educated and trained. You see, we've been talking on education, but we have to focus this education. We must be trained on political systems. A lot of women don't understand political systems. We must train our women on women's rights to participation, their roles in decision-making, as well as unconscious bias training and inclusion to eliminate discriminatory behaviors. We must find ways to fund grassroots organizations that build, that help to build the capacity of women to participate both individually, collectively in social, economic, political, and public life. I'm almost rounding up. Women should advocate for the introduction of temporary quota systems to correct and improve low participation of women in politics. In 1994, India established quotas to reserve 33% of seats for women. All women focus groups must support campaigns for increased women political representation through temporary special measures, at least a critical minority of 40%. And that may also apply to many areas beyond the electoral or even political sphere. If we have legislation guaranteeing certain percentage for women to participate in leadership, just as we have in federal character, it will improve women representation at all levels. Women should and must form a formidable alliance with one agenda in mind, with the pockets of women catalyst groups that we have scattered all over. Forging an alliance and owning the fight for female inclusion is almost impossible. We must come up with strategies that all women must believe in so that they will fight with a sense of cohesion, knowing that this fight is for the benefit of every woman. At the same time, the women have a lot of weapons to use. So we must go back to the drawing board and identify the key stakeholders in this campaign. We must start the fight from the inside and then take it out to schools, market women. We can involve various women catalyst groups. These men are husbands, they are sons, they are brothers. So we can achieve a lot fighting from inside. In conclusion, women must look out for and celebrate those things that make us successful. People, especially men, celebrate success. And the more we bring to the fore our successes, the more we are being celebrated, the stronger we are getting. I think that before long, women will get what they want, because I see that the men, even the society, are becoming tired. A recent poll showed that 85% of Nigerians are ready for a female president. What does that tell you? The women are gradually winning. So finally, the focus, the emphasis is on the unity of women. The challenge of women is that of distrust and lack of unison. Without unison, women cannot deconstruct anything. Women cannot raise funds. Women cannot move ahead. So we must go back and do things that will bring us together, unite us together in terms of our thoughts, in terms of our actions, even in our prayers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Nkechi Ali Balogun, for that, concise and apt contribution to the webinar. Mrs. Ali Balogun said that we must identify trivial patterns which must be dealt with amongst women so that we can take our rightful place in leadership positions. That is very, very key. And she talked about being trained in understanding political systems. As much as we shout and say we want to be there, do we understand how the political system works? So women need training. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We can see that she's very passionate because Women Alliance Group is made up of very passionate women. She's a member of the Women Alliance Group. We appreciate you, ma'am. Thank you. We're going to call on the next panelist. He's supporting women, and we appreciate him. And the person of Thomas Nagrand is a staunch Liberian entrepreneur living in the city of Newark, Delaware, United States of America, for the past 28 years. He is the founder and owner of GPN Solutions, LLC. His previous company was Grant Mortgage. He has operated his business in Delaware for more than 20 years. He's one of the founding members of Delaware African Caribbean Coalition, DACC, and served 2 terms as vice president. He is the current president of Delaware African Caribbean Coalition, DACC, and due to his leadership in the state of Delaware, Thomas is highly recognized by the dignitaries, pastors, and bishops in Delaware. You're welcome, sir. Good evening.
Well, good evening and good afternoon from my end here now. That is after 12 o'clock in the U.S. First of all, let me say great thanks to all of you wonderful, dynamic women and mother. Let me also say that Sunday was known as Mother's Day in the U.S., so happy Mother's Day to all of you. And I also want to appreciate Dr. Ife for connecting and allowing me to be with you all this evening, this afternoon from my end. Allow me, please, to introduce myself as I'm African, born in Liberia. Let me repeat that. I'm African, born in Liberia. So every country in Africa is also a country of mine. I'm very grateful. And if it were not for women of this world, most particularly African women and African mothers, many of us would not be who we are today. I am what I am because of women, beginning with my dear mother, who left this world to go and rest and be with the Lord. Let me take something from one musician here in the US. He passed away now, and you all may know him. His name was James Brown, a famous singer in the United States. I want to speak for you for a different perspective. In one of his songs, he said, "It's a man's word." Please listen to that music again. There's a message in there. It's a man's word, but you cannot do anything without a woman. So women are held very high, but women cannot step aside because men, even though in the days of creation, men were put to sleep for a particular reason for a woman to be made. But we the men, why should we then be telling the woman what to do? Can I suggest to your dynamic organization, Women Alliance Group, I look at your chair and say, "Chairman, why we keep giving the men the praises? Why can't we say chairwoman or chair lady and leave the men off?" Chairman. One of the things I talk to young people about, in those days of old, they said, behind every successful man, there is a woman. But why a man should be successful with a woman standing behind him? He must be ashamed of that woman, or he is hiding her because of his talent and does not want her to overshadow him. So I say in the days, modern days, beside every successful man, there is a woman, not behind him. And we the men, if we want to mean what we say and say what we mean, then we must walk the walk and talk the talk to encourage the women. If we respect our mothers, let's respect our wives, our fiancé, our girlfriend, our significant other. A woman's place is not just to provide in a home of cooking and cleaning. What happens if she's not well? You have two hands. So in my household, I cook, I do laundry, and I clean, and do not wait for my wife. Secondly, whenever we go out to a buffet, I allow my wife to sit down and I go and bring the food to serve her. That's a different dynamic to highlight who women are. Because if it were not for women, we would not be trained. The first person that can help us to walk is a woman. The first person that helped us to get a belly full is a woman. That's the perspective I want to try to bring to us. Yes, when our speakers talk about our traditional leaders, our political leaders, our spiritual leaders, talked about the good things that women have done in this world. Make a woman feel the importance of who she is. Let no man tell you who you're going to be. Because growing up, something that I learned, if you do not make yourself important, nobody will. The grass can only be greener on your side if you water it. So the leadership that women have that is coming, the men are somehow afraid of that. But don't let that stop you. Blissfully, because I was trained by a woman. Blissfully, because most women are the one who propelled me to be who I am. In the United States, the organization called DACC, I became one of the founding members of DACC. And what I brought forth is that let's create a relationship between our state of life and our different African and Caribbean countries of birth. With that, there was the formation of an organization called SUSIWL, SUSIWL, the Study of the United States Institution Women Leadership. Our African countries were not involved. I was able to work with the blessing from above to get 5 different African countries to be involved. I hope I could be an encouragement to your organization. I pray that I can be one that you can count on and call on as I reside within the state of Delaware, the first state where the United States president comes from today. Guess what? The second in power in the state is a woman. Our lieutenant governor is a woman. The next person that can help propel a lot of businesses is also a woman. She's the president of the World Trade Center here in Delaware. Let me leave you with a 4-letter word that I came up with when my colleagues asked me to be the leader of the organization, the ACC. The 4-letter word is hope, HOPE. And what it means to me and what I think I have exemplified my life to be from coming from nowhere on the word of hope. Help others prosper everywhere. That's hope. The second meaning of hope to me is help other people everywhere. I hope that WAC will take all that have been said today, turn it around to get to where WAC wants to be. That yes, the first female president in Africa is from the country where I was born, Liberia, but we need to have more women, because if a woman can wake up in the morning, prepare breakfast, prepare lunch, prepare dinner, get students ready to go to, children ready to go to school, come home and help them with their homework. A woman can run this, our continent, Africa, much better than what it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We really, really appreciate that contribution, and well said. Every woman is multitasking and she should be given a chance in leadership. We appreciate. Thank you very, very much, sir. At this point, it seems the last panelist is not in the chat room. Mrs. Elizabeth Jumai-Chinweba, are you there? Okay, I think she's not. So the floor is open. Okay, she's there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, you have 3 minutes. Mrs. Elizabeth Jumai-Chinweba is the Creative Director and Professional PR Manager of Events and Events Planner, BGL PR and Events Limited. And she's the founder of Belize Enterprise. You're welcome. Good evening.
Thank you so much. Like she rightly said, I feel bad that I have just 3 minutes. I would like to first of all thank the chairman, Haji Alami Tumaka, who is a mentor and a mother to me, the CEO, Madam Ifeyinwa Nwakwesi, for making sure I'm a part of this webinar, even though I had my fears of, what do I have to say? I'm just a youth. But thank you all. I appreciate the panelists, the speakers who have said a lot that speaks to me personally. First, why? Because I am a woman, I'm a young woman, and above all, I am a youth. And I feel like this webinar was set up for me to have a voice, even though I do not like to be seen or heard. I am a creative director. I do great behind the scene. I work my magic and I do great. And 3 things I just want to say. A lot has been said about structure. Yes, but what's the process? What do we do in making sure there's a proper structure? What's the due diligence? How do we appoint a leader? What have they done? How are they being held accountable? We are a product of our own environment. And I heard the speaker say, the youth failed with NSARS and because there was no system. The truth is that I love my country so much. And as a Nigerian youth, I built my company from nothing. We don't get a lot of motivation. We don't get a lot of support. But we're fortunate to meet people who are kind. For example, Queen Lami Tumaka, who I was opportune to meet a few years ago, and how she has impacted and pushed me beyond my own comfort zone. What I'm trying to say in essence is that women are powerful. We're resourceful. There's no doubt about that. When you leave a woman in a house as a wife, she spends most of her time with her kids. These kids grow up to become youths. So if we have a women and youth party, for example, or a system that holds people responsible, it's great to say money is needed, but when this money comes and people are being appointed to do their jobs and you don't do it, what are the laws placed to hold someone accountable for failing? These are the issues. It's enough to say we want to do a lot of things. It's amazing to say we want to go above and beyond. But I feel like personally, if we don't hold people, the level of mediocrity is alarming, not just at the top to some point, but also at the bottom. I feel like my country is torn between people like us in the middle who are trying every day to make our country better, but we're being held, our hands are tied, we're stuck. Building a company from scratch to nothing for 12 years. And I remember the first 4 or 5 years, you go somewhere, you're like, oh, you're a girl, you're not being taken seriously. But I made it happen. I pushed and I'm still pushing. And I believe there are people like me. And I believe there are people like Her Excellency Senator Daisy Danjuma, who I feel like, as a leader, we're servants. We're not there to just enjoy the perks of leadership. We're there to serve. And I've seen you do amazing. And I know a lot of women, a lot of youths can come together and make it happen. But the main thing for me is, how do you hold people accountable? When you mess up, what do you do? Are there laws placed to make sure that if you do not do the right thing, something is done about it? And when you do the right thing, how do you get compensated? How are you celebrated? Nelson Mandela fought. He fought so hard for the freedom of his people. against all odds. If we have one leader to do that for us, I believe the youth can be better. Our mindset is everything. If we don't have the right people encouraging us, how, for example, in my line of work, I meet different kinds of people. You see someone who's a fantastic tailor, but she doesn't have the opportunity or even the resources to just do one or two things. And she's surrounded by people who unfailingly or unfortunately will say to her, oh, God will help you, or God will do it. You're there. What does she need? Do you have the resources to help her? How are you helping her get to the next stage? So until we have this in place, it's not just structure of how to run an organization or how to run a political party properly. The elections are forthcoming. We have everybody springing from nowhere saying they want to be president. But why should I trust you to my president? What have you done? What's your story? Due diligence. So this is where I come from. This is my own few cents. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor being the last but not the least and the youngest one here. But I hope I have spoken for the rest of the youth, like myself and young women who are coming up to believe in our country to make it better, because I know it will get better. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Awesome.
Elizabeth. Thank you very much. You made perfect sense. Perfect sense. Excellent. Excellent contribution. The youth should be encouraged. They should be empowered. They should be given the platform to voice out. Thank you. That was excellent. And so the floor is open for questions and answers and contributions from members. You need to unmute if you want to contribute or ask a question, and then unmute, introduce yourself, the organization you belong to, and then properly direct your questions. So. Do we have anyone?
I do.
Okay.
Can I say a few words?
Yes, please.
Can you hear me? Yes, thank you very much, all the speakers, that have spoken so far. Well, I'm quite impressed with the youths, though now I believe most of the youths today are almost worse than the leaders that we have. There has to be a complete reorientation. But going back to that, let me just go back to one of the things I noticed working with the Commonwealth Parliamentarian and African Parliament as a group is that, number one, most of the countries where we have women in power, leadership and policymakers are from countries where they have experienced wars and apartheid, like Liberia, South Africa, Rwanda. And this came as a result of men going to war and women being in charge. And when they come back to reorganize, these women have been involved in rehabilitation, reconstruction, and reconciliation. And in that process, parties are formed, and women, since they were in charge when the men were fighting, and they have taken care of society, now come to the forefront. Nigeria went to war, but not everywhere. And one problem we have in Nigeria, we never learn from our past mistakes. Every time it happens again. Like we need to have stakeholders meeting as we are having right now. And like our brother from Liberia, we know what you went through, because during the election of President Ely Johnson, I was in Liberia for 3 weeks with President Jimmy Carter, Abdulsalam. We were there. And one of the reasons I went was to support Ely Johnson. And I made sure some other people who were to participate in the presidential election stepped down. I was there and I played a very significant role. We have, our greatest problem right now is we are talking about affirmative action. Affirmative action has worked in certain places, but you need to work hard for affirmative action to work. Like we have said, you have to be a force to be reckoned with. That extra work needs to be there, to have that percentage to be there. Nigeria, if we women come together and say, this will work. Like during the NSAS, it actually worked. It was because of the bullets at the toll gates that everything scattered. It worked. And we know a lot that the youths, when they come together, that they are a force to be reckoned with. If you add women, it's a lot, you know. If we decide that as women, every governor everybody should take the opposite sex as a running mate, wherever you are. If you are a woman governor, your running mate should be a man, or it happened in the West, the Western states. Most of the women were, most governors chose women as deputy governors. If we go that way, out of the 3 seats in the Senate for every state, we insist everyone must be a woman. We women can say we will refuse to vote because we are the forces when it comes to electioneering, campaigns. Women are in the forefront. Men cannot use us and dump us. If we come together, that I've already started that move, that most men who come around, I always tell them, you must take a woman as a running mate, or allow some women in parliament. Like every state, she must produce 2 women, you know, 3 House of Rep and 1 senator. Out of 3, you must have a woman. And if we insist on that without that, women will not support anybody who does not do that. We will have a voice. We can come together and do that. So the ball is in our court if we come together and agree on terms of reference to fight. And it is now at the drawing board, and we should be doing it. I'm doing my best, but I'm just a voice. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, ma'am, for that contribution.
Because
women should unite.
All the governors have told them, your House of, in Senate, you must put a woman out of 3, House of Rep, 2 women, you know, and local state House of Assemblies, you must put women. That anybody who does not pick women will not support them, and women should not vote for them.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you very much. We appreciate that contribution, and it's an eye-opener for all of us. Do we have any more contributions? We're going to take just two more contributions because of time.
Yes, let me come in briefly. Thank you very much, everyone. And Senator Daisy Danjuma, I hear you very, very well. I know your passion. I know how you're very passionate about helping more women and more youths to get to leadership positions. Women Alliance Group and Life Foundation had started the process in collaboration with a few other organizations. And Senator Daisy, we are asking you, we need your support because we know you are an influencer in this society.
But you have to be serious.
This thing requires strategy. We are serious. Are we not serious women? We are very serious. Senator Daisy, I am telling you, the women that are running this are very talented, creative, passionate women and impactful. I'm going to speak to you tomorrow morning and tell you the strategy. But please, remember we have a Zoom meeting tomorrow by 3 p.m. I'm going to send out the messages to the relevant people that should attend that webinar. Thank you very much, Senator Daisy Danjuma. Thank you, Pastor Ifeyinwa Nwakwesi, and all the amazing people in this program. Let me now call on Tope Ande to please give us a short conclusion, and Ngozi Nkoleyi will give us a vote of thanks, and we're done for the day. Thank you very much. Tope Ande, please.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's been all protocols duly observed. It's been an engaging and thought-provoking meeting. And it's actually happening at a very critical moment in our dear nation. I just want to commend and appreciate the charge received this evening from our patron, our pastor, our E for She, Pastor Ifeyinwa Nwakwesi. We thank you so much for your support over the years, in your support that is always in demonstration. And that we saw even in March when you came out to allow us to actually, show concern with the women during the challenge with the House of Assembly over the women the March issues that we have with National Assembly. We thank you so much for your support, sir. We pray that God will continue to use you to influence and support the women.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Have we lost Tope?
Okay.
It appears we've lost her.
Yeah, it appears we've lost her. And we'll call upon Mrs. Ngozi Nkolonye for the closing remarks before we take the national anthem. Ma.
It's a new Nigeria. It's a set of change
she's back
that
on.
we expect. We also want to thank Vice Vera, Danusa. In fact, I also want to say that we have our godmothers in our midst. Our own chairperson, chair lady, not chairman, yes, our chair lady, Ajia Lamin Tumaka, Senator Daisy Danjuma, and Dr. Awoshika. These are our godmothers. We have godmothers in our midst. And I want to say that the alliance has begun, really, right from March. There's a change that has commenced in Nigeria, and it will not stop, particularly at this moment. I want to say that to our pastor, all the charges that you released this evening, we'll work on it. And finally, I want to say to our speaker, you know, I believe what you said, that we are powerful. Even Senator Dino Belaye, all the senators in the House, where they took that decision, they knew how powerful and how influential we are. And right now, they are actually afraid of us, particularly Honorable Kezare. They all confirm they are afraid. That's why they refuse to vote all our requests. But you see, right now, I'm not sure that with the support of our pastor also, who also go out there and let the men know that the men should know also that they should support us. They shouldn't be afraid of us. They should only be afraid of the changes that we're going to bring to the nation. So I wish to say a very thank you to everyone. And we also look forward to, beyond this meeting, we look forward to continuing this conversation in the Great Alliance for a change for our dear nation in this decade of change. Thank you so much and good evening.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Tokwe Andy. Mrs. Tokwe Andy is a member of ANWBN, and she, on behalf of the association, gave her vote of thanks. I'm going to call on Mrs. Ngozi Nkolonye to give a vote of thanks and closing remarks on behalf of WAC. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Standing on the existing protocol, our respectable patrons, my distinguished Senator, Pastor Ichua Iradala, and all the great discussants on this webinar. Thank you all very much for sparing your expensive, treasured time to speak to us and to hear us. Thank you. Thank you very much. Special thanks to our CEO, who is very resilient, impactful, compassionate, and a go-getter. She has not a no for an answer, but yes, we can do it. So Nigerian women, I call on you all to tell you that we can do it. With our godfathers and godmothers, like Senator Danjuma and Pastor Iyodele, and so many of us, so many of them, we can do it, ladies. Thank you, Dr. Ifeyinwa Nwakwesi, for initiating Women Alliance Group, WAC, alongside with your sister, you always call your bestow, the chairperson of WAC, Hajia Lami Sumaku. Thank you. Special thanks to all the participants of this vision of WAC. Thanks to WAG views here and the ones in diaspora, powerful women of substance. I give a resounding thanks to our sovereign God for making this webinar possible. Thank you, our moderator, Ramatu, who enjoys what she does best. Thank you, Ramatu, who enjoys what you do best.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Thank you all. Thank you for sparing your time. God bless you all.
Amen.
Thank you. WAG women appreciate you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate. That was a closing remark from Mrs. Ngozi Nkolonye, a member of WAG. Now we have come to the end of a very successful webinar tagged Strategic Roadmap to Improve Participation of More Credible Women and Youth in Politics and Leadership Positions in Nigeria. My name is Ramatu Ibrahim Karibimina, and it is my pleasure. Thank you as we take the national anthem.
Ramatu, you're looking very beautiful. I've
No
been
anthem.
admiring you.
No anthem. Pastor should pray.
Okay.
The anthem is on.
No anthem.
We can't hear.
Oh, we can't hear it.
Yes.
If there's no anthem, Pastor should pray. Let's end
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
No,
Stop
the
prayer.
anthem is on now. Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
God
we
bless
call
you
upon
all.
our patron.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Amen.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Amen.
Thank you,
God
everyone.
bless you all. God look after you all. God strengthen the women. God empower the women. God make
Amen.
Nigeria great
Amen.
again. God strengthen
Amen.
our children.
Amen.
And make Nigeria valuable to all of us.
Amen.
And give us great
Amen.
leaders
In
of
Jesus' name.
2023. God bless you all.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Have a
Thank
blessed
you.
evening.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Women,
Senator, thank you so much. God bless you.
women,
Thank
we
you.
can't
So you
go
are going
without
to
doing
be
our
my
particular
pastor
side.
now.
We can't
Thank
go
you,
without doing our particular
Nkechi.
permission.
Thank you,
Pastor Itua, you
everybody.
heard me. You're going to be my pastor.
No problem. Who is that?
That's BC Awoni.
Okay.
BC
Okay.
Awoni.
Bless you, my sister.
Senator Daisy Danjuma,
Thank you so much, sir.
Pastor.
God bless you.
Haja Lami,
Bye.
thank you, Thomas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much
Thanks,
for having
everyone.
me.
Thank you
Bless
so
them
Can we
all.
much.
close the
Have a
Zoom
good
right
one.
now?
Thank
Yeah.
you. We are very grateful.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
night,
you, Dr.
everyone. A
Ike.
wonderful night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Done very,
Bye.
very well.